even here, even now. His name was Ishida Mitsunari. If you have watched the series Shogun, you have met his shadow, the cold court villain, Ishido. That character is based on this real man. This is the story of the clerk who tried to save a dynasty, gambled the entire country on a single afternoon, and lost the greatest battle in Japanese history, and of why, 400 years later, we still can't agree whether he was the villain or the only honest man left. To understand Mitsunari, forget the samurai of the movies, the duelist, the warrior poet. The most famous story about him is not a battle, it is a cup of tea. As a boy, Mitsunari served as a page in a temple in Omi province. One day a great lord stopped there, thirsty from hunting, and asked for tea. The boy brought a large bowl of lukewarm tea, easy to drink fast. The lord drank it and asked for more. This time the boy brought a smaller cup, a little hotter. Then a third, a tiny cup of very hot tea, to be sipped and savored. The lord was astonished. This child had read exactly what he needed and adjusted 3 times without being told. That lord was Toyotomi Hideyoshi, a peasant who had risen to rule all of Japan. He took the boy into his service on the spot. The story may be a legend, but it captures the truth of Mitsunari's gift. He saw what a system needed, and he delivered it precisely every time. Hideyoshi did not need another swordsman. He had thousands. What he needed was a mind that could run an empire. He had just found it, pouring tea. Mitsunari rose fast, not as a general, but as an administrator. Hideyoshi made him one of his 5 commissioners, the men who actually ran the country: taxes, supplies, justice, and the vast land surveys that measured every rice field in Japan. When Hideyoshi invaded Korea, it was Mitsunari who moved the food, the ships, the men. He was brilliant, tireless, and certain that he was right. And that certainty made him enemies. The great warriors of Hideyoshi's armies, men like Kato Kiyomasa and Fukushima Masanori, had bled on the battlefield while Mitsunari, they felt, sat safe with his brushes and ledgers, reporting their failures back to their lord. To them he was a paper samurai, arrogant, inflexible, a man who valued the rule over the person. Japan's warrior class was splitting in 2. On one side, the fighters, loyal to glory, to the sword, to their own honor. On the other, the administrators, loyal to the system, to the law, to the Toyotomi house itself. Mitsunari was the face of the second kind, and standing quietly to one side, watching this crack widen, was the most patient man in Japan. His name was Tokugawa Ieyasu. In 1598, Toyotomi Hideyoshi died. The man who had unified Japan left behind a 5-year-old son, Hideyori, and a council of 5 great lords sworn to protect him. It was a beautiful arrangement, and everyone knew it would not hold. The most powerful of those lords was Tokugawa Ieyasu, older, richer, and craftier than any of them. One by one, Ieyasu broke the rules Hideyoshi had left behind, arranging secret marriages, gathering allies, testing how far he could push. To Mitsunari, this was simple treason. He had given his life to the Toyotomi system, and he watched Ieyasu dismantle it in plain sight. Someone had to stop him, and almost no one else would. The warriors who hated Mitsunari drifted toward Ieyasu. Strength recognizes strength. Mitsunari was not a soldier, he was not loved, and he knew it. But he was loyal, and he was certain. So the clerk did the most reckless thing of his life. He raised an army against the greatest warlord in Japan to defend the child of a master who was already dead. On the morning of October 21st, 1600, 2 huge armies faced each other in fog in a narrow valley called Sekigahara. Nearly 200,000 men, the whole country, gathered in one place to decide its future. On paper, Mitsunari had the stronger position. His western army held the high ground and outnumbered the enemy in the field. For hours the battle was savage and even, and then it turned, not by sword, but by betrayal. On a mountain called Matsuo sat a young lord, Kobayakawa Hideyoshi, with 15,000 fresh troops. He had secretly promised himself to both sides. Ieyasu, growing impatient, ordered his gunners to fire on Kobayakawa's own position. A message: choose now. Kobayakawa chose. His army charged downhill into Mitsunari's flank. Seeing the betrayal, other lords switched sides on the spot. The Western army did not just lose, it dissolved. In roughly 6 hours, it was over. The largest battle in Japanese history and the fate of the next 250 years decided before sunset. Mitsunari fled into the mountains. He was caught days later, sick and starving, hiding in a cave. The clerk had bet the whole country on one afternoon, and the afternoon had gone to the patient man. Mitsunari was paraded through the streets and beheaded by the river at Kyoto. The defeat, even in chains, he refused to stop caring about tomorrow. The winners wrote the history, and the winners were the Tokugawa. For 2.5 centuries, their storytellers cast Mitsunari as the villain, the scheming, jealous clerk whose ambition tore Japan apart. When the West met this era through the novel and the series Shogun, it inherited that same shadow. Ishido, the cold antagonist standing against the wise Toranaga, who is Ieyasu, the man who won. But look again at the real Mitsunari. He was not fighting for a throne. He had no throne to gain. He was defending a dead man's child and a system he believed was lawful against the strongest man in the country, knowing he might lose. Norizan was destroyed by loyalty. Doken was murdered for competence. Gracia chose death over dishonor. Moronao won everything and was erased. Saigyo and Chomei walked away from the world entirely. Mitsunari did the opposite. He stayed. He fought for a losing cause because he thought it was right, and history made him the villain for it. Maybe that is the most Japanese fate of all, to be correct and to lose, and to be remembered as the enemy. If this story was worth your time, subscribe. Forgotten Japan tells the stories that the famous tales of samurai and shoguns leave out.